What's up, folks? Friday evening in Boulder. Let me see if I can. Oh, that'll just get in the way. Gonna have to tolerate that sunlight here. What if I did this? That's better. Anyways, I'm making an extra video because I wanted to answer some questions and I need to be able to read the questions. So I can't do it on driving, which is what I usually do in the morning. And I don't know, I feel like knocking it out real quick. So my man, Joel, asked me some questions, and he says, like, sorry for sounding weird, but I mean, I can get it. I probably answered these questions, but I'm up to like 200 and something videos, so I wouldn't expect somebody to have seen them all. So I can answer these questions, and then kind of it'll be I don't know. It's cool. I like when people ask me questions so I can answer them. I like it. I like talking about myself, and people give me an opportunity to talk about myself. I'm gonna do it. Anyways, why did you start a YouTube channel? Well, to be honest, I felt like I needed a challenge. I needed to do something. I always had this YouTube channel, and I was actually would just post some random things every now and then. You can scroll back and look, and there's me installing an exhaust pipe on a motorcycle, which I don't even own anymore. I haven't owned in years. There's me posting some videos when I was doing some work in Mexico, and then there's me doing a series of like I call it "What's in My Parents' Basement," and I would just go down to their basement and look at random stuff that didn't need to, like why did my dad have a collection of old TVs and computer monitors? I don't know, but they were all down there, and he saved every one. So that was kind of fun. That lasted, I don't know, like four episodes. But eventually I got to the point where I thought, I heard a podcast where somebody was making a killing off of their YouTube channel. And so one of the reasons why I got into it, because I thought I was going to make money. I haven't seen a dime. Not a dime. And I've been posting I've averaged one a day for several months. So that didn't work out, but then I realized it was a challenge. I did it for 30 days to see if I can do it, and I did it, and when the challenge was over, I kept going. And sometimes I post 2 a day. Like today might be 2, the second one today. And then I realized, like, I am documenting my struggle. I'm going through what people go through. I say things, or I experience things that people don't voice. That's just it. That's the end of the sentence. That people don't voice themselves, but they struggle themselves, right? They go through the same thing, like wondering what they should do. Right now, I'm struggling with my job. I had a business that I didn't like running. I didn't like having, but I like the money. And now that that's gone, I'm writing books. And people are like, someday I'll be a writer. I'm like, you should be a writer right fucking now. If that's what you want to do, all you have to do is start. So I think that that documenting this will help people, though I don't know, or it can help people, but that's not really why I'm doing it. Though I like to think that maybe somebody watching. Not very many people watch these videos, so. But another reason, like after the thought, right? Originally, I started to do it because I wanted it to see if it would make me some money. The other thing was, the other afterthought was that I think it would be cool, like if I had video access, like a daily journal of my father, or even better, my grandfather, even if it was written. Like my grandparents, like I heard a story that my grandfather couldn't marry my grandmother because he didn't have proper documentation. So he went back, even though he was an illegal alien already, or undocumented alien, or mojado, however you want to put it. He went back into Mexico and got some paperwork, and then came back, and he married my grandmother. Like if he had documented that process, even in written word, that would have been super cool. So now I continue to make this journal, this log, because I think if for someday my kids or grandkids may be able to watch me go through this, what their grandfather went through or their father went through to become a successful author or what have you. I think that, oh shoot. Next question is, why did you decide to become a writer? I didn't really decide to. I kind of feel like I always was. But what happened was my original, well, I mean, I was writing things on MySpace and posting them up, and they were real strong opinionated pieces, and I don't know. And then I started writing poetry. I read Gabriel Garcia Marquez, 100 Years of Solitude, and I started writing poetry, and that was 10 years ago. So I always been in health and wellness, basically because I was concerned with my own weight. Then I wrote a program introducing people into the paleo diet, or the paleo lifestyle. Sorry, Dr. fucking Cordain. And I took that program that I wrote and I published it online. It didn't work out so well. And then I took that same content and made it a book, and that was my first book. And it was quite an accomplishment to say, I wrote a book. Hey, everybody, I wrote a book. And I wrote a second, and then I wrote a third, and then I wrote a fourth. And this was all, I was publishing all these books so that it would help me get clients, weight loss clients, and everything else. Then one day I listened to On Writing by Stephen King, and it didn't really apply to the type of books I was reading, but he inspired me to start writing fiction. So I started writing fiction, and there's a character named Tim Rogers who's a sleepwalker, military, war, kind of put him through some stuff. I have a really, really like awesome ending to that I thought of 20 years ago. And I've been trying to fill in the blanks. Well, while I was doing that, I created my website, davidsodowrites.com, and I started publishing each chapter that I wrote, once a week a chapter, like every Tuesday or something I was publishing a chapter. And eventually, another thing Stephen King said was to read. You're gonna write fiction, you gotta read fiction. You gotta read. So I started reading more and more fiction. I did my nonfiction in audiobook form, and I started reading fiction. You can see that bookshelf back there, that's full of novels. And eventually I picked up some more magical realism besides Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Actually the book was Milagro Beanfield War, and that reminded me, like, man, I really love magical realism. I want to read more of this. Then I got Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Leaf Storm, and I couldn't, between Milagro Beanfield War and Leaf Storm, I couldn't stop thinking of a character named Esperanza Diamante, who had this passion-filled chocolates that people would eat, and I didn't know them by accident, or maybe she's prescribing them to people, but they would eat them and they would get her passion, and they would, like, get pregnant even though they weren't supposed to, or their husband of 30 years who stopped making love to them and started making love to them again. And I just got this idea, and I started writing. Oh, I didn't even start writing. I just had this idea, and I just put it in the back of my head. And then I told that story to a girl or a woman, and she was like, oh, and she loved, like, her reaction was like, oh my God, I gotta write this story. And then I wrote it, and when I wrote that story, it just poured out of me. It came so natural that I couldn't, it was just, I don't know, it was like eating cinnamon rolls, right? They're just good and delicious, like no explanation needed. Just do it. And that's what happened with my writing, and the words just came, and I published the book, self-published it, and that's when I decided, like, I'm no longer a health and wellness guy. I am a writer. I'm an author, and I write magical realism novels or stories. So I didn't really decide. It just kind of happened. But then I did decide, but after I had written and published several books, that I decided that I was going to be a writer and author. Do you live in your van? Yes, I live in my van, and I have officially. I started traveling in December of 2015, but I officially moved into it in January 2016, like a month later, and I've been living in it ever since. And it's pretty good. My only complaint is that that's not only things that aren't. Let's just call them complaints. My only complaint is kind of lonely and trying to meet somebody. Although there are a lot of guys that have cute girlfriends in their vans, I guess all those girls are taken, because trying to meet somebody and then say that I live in a van, it just doesn't seem to be working out. So that's the other complaint, is that my van's too small for me. I'm 6'7". This is a minivan, and there's no place for me to sit up. Like, even now, I'm not sitting up, even though I'm sitting in the driver's seat, right? So for me to sit up, I am hitting my head, right? So for me to, so I'm touching, and to actually sit up, I would have to duck my head, right? To sit up straight, bring my chest level. So I lean back in my gangster lean. I like my seat is leaned back quite far. Like, I can't really see out my peripheral when I'm driving. I gotta lean forward. So that's having an effect on my body. I'm sitting here now. I'm like at 12 minutes, and I've been sitting here speaking into the camera. I do a lot of sitting, and that's the worst thing about it. Other than that, life's good, man. I can go where I want, do whatever I want. People say, hey, let's go fishing. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna meet you there. I'll be sure to bring my fishing gear. The joke is, everything I ever need, everything I own, is with me all the time, 24/7, no matter where I go. Do you live in? Yes, I do. If so, how and why? Did I cover how and why? Why is I I've been a minimalist, I feel like, my whole life, and I've lived in small areas my whole life. So it just really felt natural. I wanted to travel the entire country and go from here to there and everywhere, and I wanted to be able to not have to work, which is what I was doing for quite a long time. Unfortunately, that ended just like last week, and now I'm looking for work. So you're saying how? You're probably saying how, like, how can I afford it? I ran a business that paid me a decent salary. To tell you the truth, I paid myself $29,000 a year. Some people think that's a lot of money. It's not that much. But $29,000 a year, and I ran the business. It was in business for 7 years. Also, I paid off all my debts, except for 3 rental houses, but they all have tenants, and they kind of cover themselves, maybe make a little money. I don't know. I don't pay attention because I hate them. But I worked my butt off to get out of debt, and I worked my butt off to turn my business into something that I can manage from the road. But the biggest thing was that I got out of debt. Depending on what kind of job you have, depending on your situation. Also, I retired from the military. Now, I'm not seeing any money. That would be nice. If I was retired from active duty, I would have a paycheck right now coming in every month, and that would really, really help. But I don't see that money until I'm 60, unfortunately. And you can see how young I am right now, so I'm far from 60. Other than that, how's life? Kind of answered that too. A little bit of lonely, a little bit of in pain from being all crunched up. Other than that, things are good. I have some obstacles in my way, but I'm overcoming them, and I'm writing books, and I'm having a great time. All right? I'm limited to 15 minutes on this phone for some reason, so it's time for me to peace out. Joel, I hope I answered your questions. Peace out, everybody. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.